queremos darle la bienvenida a Taneli Mustonen, que es el director de Gemelo Siniestro. Así que muchas gracias, Taneli, por acompañarnos.
Gracias.
First of all, in the US, the movie premiered on some streaming platforms. So I wanted to ask you, how does it feel to know that your movie is showing on the big screen here for Colombian audiences?
Oh, I love it. And I have to mention, we got released also in the selected theater state as well. So I'm feel, I'm over the roof. I'm extremely happy. We released the film first in Finland, in my native home country, in I believe it was like beginning of April, and being and then across Europe. And actually, our film is now the on the list of the widest releases for Finnish film. I think we're on the number 3, so we have over 33 countries. That's
Wow.
That are releasing the film theatrically, and we couldn't be happier.
Wow, that's so good to hear. We have been very happy to release this film here because it's
Thanks
been
so much.
very tough through the pandemic. So now it's very good to have so many movies and from all the corners of the world releasing right here in Colombia. We have recently seen some movies use Scandinavian folk tales and myths in their stories. So I wanted to ask you if there was like any particular myth or like Finnish symbol that you wanted to use in the twin.
Oh wow! Actually, when writing this with my colleague and my partner, Aleksi Hyvärinen, who we formed our company Done Films here 10 years ago, we actually dive into the old pagan cultures and beliefs that we have in the Nordic countries, and there's probably so many things that got picked up by us on our way. It's really hard to name a few, but I could use the example of the swing, and that was something that we really believe. And here in Finland, the Christianity is rather we call it is rather thin when it comes to our history. So we have a really rich and you could write so many awesome stories about the pagan cultures that we have and the old beliefs that we have with our ancestry and our forest and there's just so much, but it's really hard to just pick one. Let me think. I can come back. There's probably something popping up just later on.
The swing one is very interesting, and I remember the circle, of course, which is quite important in the movie.
Yes.
But yeah, that's an aspect that I found very fascinating about the film.
Oh, thanks.
So we all know, of course, all the negative implications from doing a movie or anything really during the pandemic. But I wanted to ask you if there was anything that you found actually positive from doing the movie through the pandemic.
Oh, that's a wonderful question. Thanks so much. Actually, I did. And I think we all found. When we started out, I think it was beginning of March last year, the shoot, and it was crazy. Like it was literally on the same day we started to shoot the film in Estonia, our neighboring country, and it was a like big headline all over the news where they said like this is like the worst area when it comes to COVID. But luckily for us, we were in the southern parts of and those rural places. Like there was literally nobody around us, and I think it created this kind of like unity that I haven't seen in any of my other shoots. I've directed and written. I believe this was my 6th feature film, and my 2nd horror, and so I think there is this element that comes with this kind of worldwide pandemic that we were basically just hanging together and just fighting it through every day, and of course we got so well protected as far as you can basically, and so we had masks and we had tests pretty much every day, but I think it made everything even more important for us. Just every morning we set out to do like, let's make the best horror film the best film we can do. And you know, every obstacle, like the COVID, or we did have, you know, a few cases when shooting the film, and like it made everything more important. That was you know, at least one positive example. But like I said, we were in the outbacks, like the most rural parts, you know. Literally, when we discussed about the swing scene, it was like we had like hard time to get on that very location. It was like, it was so outback in Estonia, so we had like even like, you know, SUVs or the trucks, they had really hard time coming there. So yeah, I think there's a positive signs. I don't know if that's fair thing to say when it comes to COVID, and it has caused a lot, you know, for all of us, you know, globally. But there was this kind of feeling that we're gonna just fight it through, and we're gonna make the film. And as soon as we finished the, you know, shoot, like 1 month later, or 1 month and a couple of weeks later, I never felt like this kind of real, you know, relief that we all felt when we finally could say like it's a wrap, and we made the, you know, the film, and we finished the shoot. So everybody was crying and popping champagne at that point.
According to what you're telling me, it gave it like a little bit of significance to finishing a movie under these circumstances.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that you can, you know, predict. It's one of those things like, who knew, like who could say like I just had released my previous film just before the pandemic really, you know, started in early 2020, and so it was just a like dark time, I think, for all of us. And I've been extremely happy to, you know, I love cinemas, like my family used to run cinemas, and I just love going to movies. And and it's been one of those things that you only realize like afterwards, when you know it's all been taken from you, like how important is to see, you know, films in cinemas.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Like my first time in the movies after the pandemic felt just amazing. It was like
It's a bliss.
religious
Oh my God.
experience almost.
Yes. Yeah, it's crazy. And you know, it's just like, you know, like we do this for the love of movies and good storytelling, but I just love the ritual of, you know, go into this like dark place, and meaning the cinema, and just like feeling together with, you know, bunch of people you don't know, but you have that same experience and enjoyable ride, hopefully. And it's you know, it's one of the better things in life.
I wanted to ask you about the kid in the movie, which is of course very important for the story. We have seen many horror movies about like creepy kids. So I wanted to ask you, was there anything that you found particularly special about Tristan Ruggeri during the casting process that you said like, this is the kid I want for the movie?
Well, you said it the best. Like it literally, when we had this wonderful casting director from UK, Kate Rinsel, and she read the script and just, you know, call us back and said like, I really want to, you know, participate. And she was such a wonderful casting director. And you know, that was the one thing I was worried about, you know, to find, like you said, it's the boy in the movie plays a crucial part, and you just like, you really want to find your, you know, the perfect kid, you know. And he has like such a difficult, demanding role for 8-year-old, 9-year-old kid. And my first feature film was a family film where I had 8 kids, you know, and so I take nothing for granted. It's hard work, and even though enjoyable as it is. But yeah, with Tristan, it was marvelous. Like literally, I was at the office, and you know, going through the tapes, and then you know, when I saw him, it took me like 20 seconds, and I jumped, and like, oh my God, that's Tristan. You know, that's Elliot, that's Nathan, that's him,
So
right?
almost immediately you knew that he was the kid that you wanted.
And it was such a, you know, it's one of those casting tapes that it's you know, all the kids that you know that wanted to have this role, you know, in UK, they're so trained and they're so professional, and you know, but you really we knew that we needed like this extra element, and this there's something, you know. And it's funny, like when now watching the film and knowing Tristan and his family, he's just a lovely, you know, kid, and he's so freaking smart, and he has this sensibility, and you know, he understood the role better than any of us. He was like explaining me, you know, during the shoot, like, maybe is this the way you think? I think you should do this. So do you want to do it this way? And he was like, you know, when I remember when I was 9, like I didn't know, you know, anything, and I was just, so it was really interesting. So and I just wish him everything well, and he's doing extremely fine, and getting bigger and bigger and wonderful roles.
That's wonderful to hear. And also, I read somewhere that Teresa Palmer had her children during the production.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask if I suppose Tristan also had some kind of support with him.
Yes, of course. Yeah, that was the one of the things that we were super happy that both Teresa and she brought her family and their wonderful you know, kids, and of course Tristan came with his family, you know, his mother and dad and sister and so forth, and you know, and once again, that's one of those things that, you know, that you worry as a filmmaker because of this like really dark and heavy subject matter, that you just want to make sure that, you know, we don't want to traumatize anybody, let alone, you know, small children. So we were super happy that he was on the level and he understood what we were doing.
Just a couple of questions more before I let you go, but I wanted to ask you if there was like any moment or something that was like your favorite thing about shooting this movie.
Oh wow. Literally, like, as a director, like, this was my first English language film. I've only done one horror film called Lake Bodom a couple of years ago, and so I was really keen to get back on the saddle, and because I love horror, that was the thing that I started with my friends. Like back in the day, in the 80s, early 90s, we couldn't see it because of the government system. The horror movies were heavily censored and regulated. You could only see them pretty much uncensored in the movies. So of course, as a kid, my parents, you know, running the couple cinemas here, so I managed to see some, but in that time of internet, it was super hard to get, you couldn't just like click Google something, because you know, that didn't exist. So yeah, basically what I'm trying to say is, like, every day, it's as a director and a writer, you just like, it's just amazing to see the things that you've written for so many years just, you know, happen in front of your eyes. It's one of those things that I think it's even hard to articulate and explain to people, but it's one thing to write, you know, scenes or dialogue, but it's such a beautiful thing to actually witness them in front of your own eyes taking place. And they are so, you know, with this kind of cast, and they are so much better than in your wildest dreams. So it was an enjoyable, though really rough ride. We didn't have a big budget. We were dealing with the pandemic, and you know, and really had this kind of hard shoot when it comes to, you know, the weather and everything that, you know, comes with it. And, you know, shooting a small budget horror film, you just, as a director, you're watching the scenes taking place, you just realize, oh my God, this is not acting anymore. We're not just like reading lines, and we're just like, you just see this moment where actors are fully, you know, engulfed with the whole scene, and something beautiful just takes place. And there are a couple of those scenes, but I just felt that we were like working as a unit, not just the actors, but, you know, my DP and, you know, the whole production, and, you know, just like we were in awe. Of course, I could talk for hours about Teresa Palmer's wonderful work, and you know, it was crazy when we started out. I was so nervous on the work, you know, first day. I was like, I got this like horrible headache, and I wanted to throw up, because I'm like, oh my God, that's Teresa Palmer. And, you know, I have like there's nothing I can give to her. And she came on the very first day, and she was nailing it. Like our jaws were dropping. Yeah, maybe those are the things that you just go like, okay, we're in good hands. You know, as a director, you're just like basically watching the movie when you're watching the monitor or whatnot. And so actually, it was funny because every time there was like somebody else coming, like a new crew member or whatnot, and it was crazy. Like, you know, we just like, it was funny to see their faces, like their jaws dropping when they saw, you know, Teresa or Stephen Cree or for Barbara, of course Tristan, you know, really showing like what they can do.
I'm also a writer, so I wanted to ask you, how long ago did the writing process began with your partner before you started shooting the movie?
Oh, that's a really interesting question. It actually started, I believe it was like it was pretty much around the time we just finished touring with Lake Bodom. I believe it was 2016, and with Alexi we started, you know, just talking about the obvious thing, like we need to have another, you know, we want to do another horror film now that we get, you know, our hands on the first one. And we were experiencing things and experimenting things and learning so much. And that's one of the wonderful things when working on a film, that you just learn so much, and you take all those experiences and you just want to do, you know, you want to dig deeper, right? And it was 2016, I believe, when we just started talking about one of those films that really blew us, you know, when we were, you know, just students and kids, and that was Don't Look Now, and the other film was Changeling, and we just like it was more about this feeling of those like wonderful films of that era. That time, that, you know, you had these wonderful filmmakers experimenting and doing these awesome films, and they were really character driven films, and they went to the, you know, psyche and subconscious, and we just felt that we would like, you know, pay homage to that and try to, you know, follow their footsteps.
Why do we leave Nick there?
He is always with us. I just don't know what's real anymore.
Hi, I'm Taneli Mustonen from far north Finland, and I would like to invite all of you guys to see our wonderful horror film. I hope you enjoy it. It's called The Twin, and it's so super hard to pronounce the wonderful name that you guys have for it. But go and see it in the movies. It's beautiful film, and we're super proud of it, and couldn't be happier we can show it to you guys in Colombia. Muchas gracias.
Thank you so much, Taneli. This was such
Thank
a
you.
pleasure. And
Likewise.
I hope to see your next movie very, very soon.
Here I am writing it on my laptop, hopefully sooner than later. Thanks so much.